Story time on how I found out that my ex-boyfriend was cheating on me.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Dating View. In today's video, women share their worst, best, and wildest dating stories of 2026. From unexpected connections and great surprises to chaotic moments and unforgettable experiences. They open up about what dating has really been like this year. These stories capture the highs, lows, and unpredictability of modern dating, offering honest reflections, lessons learned, and moments that perfectly sum up what dating in 2026 feels like.
I cut a guy off for paying for my nails, and here's how it happened. Basically, I started seeing this guy who had a lot of the qualities that I would be looking for in a long-term partner. He was very handy, he was hardworking, he was masculine, he was funny, he was a great listener, and so I'm feeling like this could really be something. Until I started to notice that he had an ego problem, but not in the typical sense. I decided that I'm gonna go and get my nails done. He knows that I keep a fresh set, okay? I get my nails done basically every 2 weeks. I get a pedicure and I do the works. He's the type of guy who wants to know things about my maintenance. He wants to know really how much it kind of costs to upkeep everything about me, because this is what he likes. He likes that I'm a girly girl. He likes that I keep my hair done. He likes that the nails are done, the lashes are done. Whether or not the man is going to pay for my nails, the nails are going to be done, okay? When I'm single, my nails are done at the same frequency as when I'm in a relationship. Another thing to note is that I have never and will never ask a man to pay for my nails. I won't say, hey babe, can you cover my nails? Hey, I'm going to get my nails done. Can you pay for them? I have never done that. But I will say every serious relationship that I've had, the man has always paid for my nails because, again, he knows the type of woman I am. He knows what it takes to keep all of this up, right? And that's the type of man that I like, one that I do not have to ask for things from, who just gets it and who's going to send the funds. It's not about the funds, it's about the principle. So I go to the nail salon and I get a set very similar to what I have right now. I love a French tip and I get acrylic and I always get gel on my nails. Now, if you are a woman, you know that they charge you extra to get French or some kind of a design. They charge you extra for gel polish. They charge you for literally everything. I'm done with my nail appointment and we're on the phone and he asked me how I like my nails. I'm like, I love them. They look so great. She did a great job. He wanted to see them. Of course, I was driving, so I couldn't show them to him. When I got home, I ended up taking a picture and I sent it to him. He told me, let me know how much it costs. So I told him $100. So do you know what this guy does? He sells me $90. And I'm confused when I look at it because I know I specifically told him it was $100. He sends me the $90 and then he says, because I didn't tell you to get the gel. LOL. What is funny about that? And look, you guys might be thinking this is not a big deal. He paid for 90% of the bill. You only have to pay the 10%. It is not about the money. It is not about the money. I could have paid for the entire thing. I could have paid for 1,000 manicures that day. It's not about the money. It's about the simple fact that you are on a power trip. You want to feel like you're in control by only sending me a portion of what is needed. And thankfully, I'm financially independent, but think about how this would reflect in a long-term relationship. One thing that's really important for every woman is to never ever fully rely on a man for your livelihood. If that man were to leave you tomorrow, would you be able to still survive? Would you be able to get back on your feet? And unfortunately, there are so many men out here who do not actually like their partners. They don't like their girlfriends. They don't like their wives. They want to see you suffer. And for me, the first inkling that I get that you don't want to see me live a soft life, that you want me to have to struggle, or that you don't think I'm deserving of everything I already provide for myself, respectfully, I am out. And that's the reason I had to cut him off.
Okay, I need people's opinions on this. Because my coworker kept saying that I broke up with someone because they made me carry strawberries. And it was never about the strawberries. So I just need to explain and see if I'm right. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. So I was seeing this guy, and anytime I would have a bag in my hand, he didn't, grab it out of my hand or, offer to take it. So I would immediately be, a little pissed off. Why aren't you taking this from me? But, we had only been talking for, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So I wasn't in a place I could be why aren't you grabbing my bag? I just kind of was I would expect that you would do that. So I would just get annoyed. And, same with the car door. He didn't, run over and open the car door. I just, opened it myself. So, I liked him, so I kind of, ignored this and was all right, that's, not that bad. It's fine. You can open your own car door, whatever. Then one day, I got so, fed up with him. I was honestly pretty much done at this point. It was just a bunch of inconveniences that kept on happening, and, he was being very selfish, in my opinion. And maybe I should just go through the whole story. So basically, we were going into the city for something, and then we were supposed to get breakfast afterwards. But the city ended up taking a lot longer than expected. So, and he had a golf tea time or whatever. So he was, like, all stressed about, like, getting done. I don't know, like, was all stressed, didn't want to go to breakfast, yada, yada, yada. He's like, can we just get back to where he lives, and then we'll get breakfast over there? And I was like, yeah, totally fine. So then I'm so hungry because the whole city thing, I haven't eaten, whatever, and I don't do well when I'm hungry. So we're, like, getting back, and he's realizing his tea time is coming up quicker than he thought because coming out of the city also took forever. So he's like, okay, how about we, like, stop at the grocery store and, like, I'll just make us breakfast at my place. And I'm like, oh my God, what? But I don't even care at this point. I'm so hungry. Like, it doesn't matter. So then we stop at the grocery store. I see he grabs a cart. I'm like, oh my God, this can't be real life. Like, he's grabbing a cart. He starts doing his full food grocery shopping. And I'm like, what? Okay. At this point, I'm stuck with him. So then we're leaving the grocery store, and he's grabbing, like, some bags out of the cart, and he hands me the strawberries and goes, can you carry these? Like, his hands were full, but not full enough that he should have asked me to carry those freaking strawberries. I was so mad, like, because, not to, like, shout out my exes, but, like, they would never make me carry anything. It would, like, honestly be at the point of, like, they're joking, they're carrying so much shit, and I'm carrying absolutely nothing. Same with the car door situation. So, like, what am I doing with this guy who's, like, making me carry strawberries that he very much can carry? Like, it was never about the freaking strawberries. Does this make sense to anyone? Like, I feel like the man should carry everything and open the door. Is that an insane request? I feel like no. Oh yeah, and then we get back to his apartment, and he's, like, all worked up about this golf, I can tell, but he's, like, trying to, like, act like he's gonna make me breakfast. I'm like, dude, I'm leaving. Like, this is ridiculous. I could tell he wanted me to do that too, like, because he needed to leave for golf. It was... Ugh, I'm getting mad even talking about it. This is, like, a year ago.
Okay, I think enough time has passed where I can finally give you a story time of probably the worst date, but also, ironically, the funniest date that I've ever gone on. So I matched with this one dude, and he was like, let's go meet at this place for boba. I was like, okay, perfect. And already it turned me off because he was like 15 minutes late. After we do the introductions, he was just like, oh, you got yourself boba. And I was just like, oh yeah, but like, it's fine, like, it's whatever. He's like, okay, so do you want to go for a walk? And I was like, okay. So now we're just walking around the area, and we're asking each other, like, the standard, like, first date questions, like, what do you like to do for fun, blah blah blah. And so some context is I was a liberal arts major, so I was creative writing, English, philosophy, politics, and law, like heavy on liberal arts. And someone surprisingly I like to read, and he was like, so what do you like to do for fun, like, in your free time? I was like, well, like, at that point we already gone through the majors. I was like, it makes sense, but I really enjoy reading, like, in my pastime. And this was it. We're walking side by side, and when I said that, I'm like, oh, I like to read. He was just like, you like to read? And I was just like, yeah, man. I was like, yeah, like, that's just, like, what I like to do for fun. He was like, for fun? And I was just like, yeah, like, is there a problem with that? And he was just like, oh, like, no, like, I just don't know how, like, why that would be fun for you. So then I reciprocate, you know, I'm just like, oh, you know, like, what do you like to do for fun? Because clearly I know it's not reading. And he was like, oh, well, I, like, really like cars. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, you like to work on them and stuff? He's like, no, I just really like them. Right, okay. So already this man was giving brick. Like, not many neurons were firing up here, like, one-dimensional caveman vibe. So it's just like, okay, noted going forward. But then, okay, so now we are crossing the street, like at a crosswalk. And so again, I haven't been in this area before, so I just paused for like a moment because I'm just admiring, like, the view. Like, there's like cool shops, it's sunset, like the sky is really pretty, whatever. So I'm just like, you know, admiring, like, my surroundings. And this man, okay, he realizes that, like, I'm not next to him anymore, right? So this is him, okay? So I'm the man, and I, like, stop, like, behind me. He was like this. Come. why is he summoning me and acting as if I'm like his dog? So at this point, right, I am looking for the cameras. I'm like, this has to be a bit. I'm like, I'm in LA. I'm like, maybe this is like a weird like YouTuber prank thing where like they just like send asshole men on like these dates to get people's reactions. I kid you not, I was looking for the cameras. You know, like Jim, how like he pans over to like the camera? That was me. I was like, wait, I'm like, this can't be real. Like, this can't be. So then at this point, okay, he still felt bad for not getting me the boba earlier. He was like, oh, do you want to go get ice cream? And at this point, I was like, you already wasted like my time and quite frankly like my brain cells on you. I was like, okay, sure, like the least I can get is some free ice cream, sure. So we go to the shop and he's like, oh, the flavors here are really good, like you should get like a lot. And I was like, oh, like, you know, I'm fine, like I got boba before, like, I'm kind of full, like I'll just get one flavor. He's like, no, like you're gonna get like 2 scoops. And I was just like, oh, trust me, man, like I'm good, like you don't need to worry about that or do that, like I'm good with just the one. So anyways, now we're ordering and he orders like 2 or 3 scoops, whatever. And the worker looks at me, she's like, okay, sweetie, like what would you like to get? And I was like, oh, I'll just get like that one scoop in a cup. And he was like, no, like she'll get 2. She'll get that one and that one. And so the worker like looks at me, because even a stranger who's met him for less than like 5 seconds can already pick on the fact that he is like an asshole. So she's a woman. God, thank God she was a woman. So she looks at me because I give her the look. We lock in, right? Okay, as women do. And I look at her and I was just like, just the one. And she was just like, and so she gives me the 1 scoop. I was like, thank you. Shout out to whoever that worker was. And so now they're checking us out. And so our cups are side by side. And he was like, oh my God, like yours looks so pathetic. Like, what does he want me to say at this point? So I was just like, okay, I need to leave. I need to leave. So now we're standing outside the shop and like, it's just pulling teeth with him. Cause I know, like, I'm just so uninterested in this person anymore. Like he has given me the ick like countless times. And so I'm like, what is like common ground that I can talk about with like the male species? I'm like, what's like the easiest like grab I can say right now? I'm like, oh, sports, duh. So I'm like, oh, you know, like, do you like to watch sports? And he was just like, oh, like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's like, you know, unexpected. I feel like most guys enjoy watching sports. Like, is there a reason for that? And he was just like, well, you know, it's just like whenever I'm like watching football or something, just I would rather be the one throwing the ball. So yeah, as after he said that, I was like, it was lovely meeting you, but I just don't think this is gonna work out. I'm like, it's nothing against you. I wish you all the best. It was lovely meeting you, but I'm gonna go now. And he was just like, what? I was like, yeah, again, nothing personal. I just don't think that, you know, we mesh that well together. So I'm gonna go. I'm like, thank you for the ice cream though. And he didn't even say anything. He just silently watched me go back to my car. So, you know, I still wonder where that man is to this day. I'm not gonna lie. I truly wonder where he is right now and like how he's doing and what he's doing in this world. But yeah, so the LA dating scene is
Today I will be sharing with you a horrible NYC dating experience that happened to me about 2 weeks ago. And by the way, this experience was one of the things that led me to delete my Hinge account 2 days ago. There was a man, let's call him Toxic Finance Bro, because he is toxic and he works in finance. We matched on Hinge a few weeks ago and we exchanged a couple of messages, but I ended up ghosting him for no reason in particular. Actually, one thing that I did find a bit sus about him was he kept being like, what are you doing tonight? Do you want to get drinks tonight? And I didn't like that. It was giving kind of hookup energy. It was not giving intentional date planning. But other than that, I had no real reason for ghosting him other than the fact that I had several other matches and I can only talk to so many people at once. Fast forward a week later, it's a Thursday night and my friend and I are in Acme. And a guy approaches me and he says, hey, I would love to buy you a drink. And I was like, sure. And, you know, I did not recognize this guy. And then he introduced himself and said his name. And that's when I put 2 and 2 together because his name was quite unique. And I realized, oh my God, we matched on Hinge. And I told him, I was like, oh my God, we talked on Hinge. And I ghosted you. And he was like, oh my God, yeah, I remember you. Anyway, we really hit it off. I think we're both just really enthralled by the fact that we had been brought together unexpectedly like this. And so we were talking for ages, and then we started making out, and we were making out in the corner of Acme for, you know, an hour or two. It was a while. This man was saying all these things to me. He said to me, I can tell that you're a high value woman, and so I want to take you on an amazing date. And I said, yeah, sure, like I like the sound of this. He invited me back to his place and I declined. So instead he got my number and he said, let's go on a date. And I said, yes, sounds great. The next day, Friday, he texted me, asked if I wanted to hang out that night. I was not free, so he said, okay, let's do Saturday. So the following day. I was a bit disappointed when he suggested that we just go for drinks at Bar Pissolino. If you're not aware of it, Bar Pissolino is a drink and coffee spot in the West Village. It's very casual. You can't even make reservations. They don't even have proper tables to sit. It's more somewhere that you would like walk in and grab like a quick aperitivo or something. It's not a date spot, and it's also not even open late. For a date, if you're going to do drinks, if a man is being intentional about the planning, I would expect him to pick somewhere where you can make a reservation and it's like a nice cocktail bar. So it was giving kind of low effort. But you know, I decided to go along with it. He said, let's meet there at 8:30. Fast forward to an hour or so before the date. He texts me and he says, hey, I'm running a bit later because I have to stop by my friend's birthday and wish him happy birthday. So I'm going to be a bit more like 9:15. I'm kind of annoyed by this because I'm like, well, if you knew you had your friend's birthday, then why did you try and schedule a date on the same night? And of course, what's convenient for him is because he picked a casual walk-in spot, he can keep pushing it back as late as he wants because he doesn't even have to be there for a reservation time. He keeps pushing it back. It becomes 9, then 9:15, then 9:20, 9:30, to the point where I'm literally not even putting on my makeup because I'm like, I do not want to start slapping foundation on my face until I can guarantee that this man is definitely going to show up. So I had to keep texting him and be like, okay, I'm leaving soon, like I'm about to order the Uber, like are you sure you're on track for 9:30? And of course this is ridiculous that I'm having to check in with this man this many times to make sure that this is still happening and that he's still going to meet me. I should be feeling secure that there is a time that we agreed on that we are going to meet at, you know. Anyway, we finally meet at 9:45. So he has pushed it 1 hour and 15 minutes later than we originally agreed to meet. So when we did finally start our date, we had a really nice conversation and we had, again, really strong chemistry, which I was expecting because when we had met at Acme 2 days prior, we did have really good chemistry. The conversation was really good, but then after an hour, Bar Pissolino was closing because they close early. So they were closing up and the guy said to me, okay, would you like to go find a different bar or do you want to just go to my place? And normally I would not be comfortable going back to a guy's place on essentially the first date, but because it was 11 p.m. on a Saturday in freezing cold January, and I knew that whatever bar he would find for us to just go to at short notice wasn't going to be good vibes, it was probably just going to be a random dive bar, I was like, there's kind of no point just for the sake of going to a second place. So I just said, look, like whatever you prefer is fine. So he said, okay, let's go back to my place and continue hanging out. And I said, okay, fine. So I said, I'm just going to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom, I came out, and he said, hey, I'm really sorry to do this, but my friends that I was with before I met you just now, they just texted me that they're about to go out, so I want to go meet up with them and go out with them. So I have to go now, but you're really great and I'd love to see you again. So are you free tomorrow? And at this point, like I'm literally standing in the middle of the street, like, and it's freezing cold, by the way. It's literally, this was the night before the big snowstorm, so I'm freezing cold. And I'm like, I didn't even know what to respond because this like happened literally so abruptly. And so he gave me a quick kiss goodbye before we could even discuss it further, and he just dipped. So I was left standing there and I just ordered an Uber at that point and I just went home after 1 hour. So he basically ditched the date halfway through because his friends texted him saying, we're going out now. Like, just tell your friends that you're busy and that you're in the middle of the date and that you'll come and meet up with them later when the date's over. What? Like, that's crazy. Then fast forward to 1:30 a.m. that same night. He texts me and he says, hey, just got home from being out with my friends. Do you want to come over? So he literally ditched his date with me to go out with his friends to try and find girls, and then presumably couldn't find any girls. So he's like, actually, I want you back after all. Anyway, so obviously I said no. I was like, no, it's too late tonight. And he said, okay, let's see each other another time. Are you free tomorrow night? This was going to be the Sunday night. And I said, yeah, I'm free. And he said, okay, let's do tomorrow night instead. I'm free around 8 p.m., maybe 8:30. And I said, okay, sure. Now, I know what you're thinking. I shouldn't have even entertained the idea of seeing him on the Sunday after he had already messed me around so much on the Saturday. But in my mind, I was like, I'll give him one more chance, I guess, to see if he can like plan a date for the Sunday. Anyway, long story short, Sunday came and went and I didn't hear from him at all. No text, no nothing, no acknowledgement of the fact that we had said that we were going to see each other that night. And listen, luckily I was not planning on it. Like, part of me knew that he probably was not going to follow through on the Sunday plans and that he was going to flake. So it's not like I was sitting there in my apartment getting ready, expecting to see him. But, you know, imagine if I had been planning on it, because, imagine if I took him at his word and said, oh, we're seeing each other again tonight, you know? Like, he literally... You can't just tell someone that you're going to see them and then just not bother to follow up and text them. Anyway, the following week comes and goes and I don't hear from him at all. And then he finally texts me on the Friday being like, hey, what's up? How have you been? And then he says, do you want to get together soon? And I said, honestly, given how flaky your behavior was last weekend, I'm not sure I want to deal with it anymore. And he didn't even apologize. He just said, okay, fair. And then he unfollowed me on Instagram. But yeah, like the rudeness, the lack of respect, the lack of planning, the lack of manners, the entitlement is off the charts. I can't. Anyway, I have so many dating stories, so let me know if this is interesting or entertaining, and I would be so happy to spill.
I unfortunately did just have to see a video of the man who cheated on me 3 different times with his current girlfriend, who was the last woman that he cheated on me with, on my For You page, on God's internet. So I figured, you know, it's been a few years. We're gonna tell the story of how I caught my ex cheating on me because it's so good. And frankly, it's one of my favorite stories to tell. We can laugh about it now. Before I do that, I need to make something abundantly clear. I do not blame the women involved in this at all in any way. I harbor no ill will towards any of them. I have been them. As far as I'm concerned, this man is the most gifted liar walking this earth. He had me fooled. He had everyone in my life fooled. And he's a master manipulator. I know he's feeding them a certain narrative. I don't blame them. I fell for it too. We're not blaming the women. None of that. Let me set the scene for you. So when my ex and I first got together, we're gonna call him Adam. When Adam and I first got together, he had this friend group. And you know those friend groups where they all like date each other and it's weird? They were one of those. And he had an ex situationship, I thought. An ex in this friend group. We're gonna call her Sally. When we first get together, I'm like, hey, what's going on with Sally? And he's like, I ended that a million times. Like I was so firm with her. I told her it was over. That was never anything serious. Basically making her out to seem crazy. So I spent the entire first year of our relationship dealing with his friends treating me like shit. I was like, man, why do they hate me so much? Then we get to the second year of us dating. We go to Cabo for spring break. We're in Cabo. They're out on the jet skis. I'm holding his phone because we're playing music from his phone, okay? And I've had a few spicy margaritas. Sue me. He gets a text. I click on it. I start seeing a text exchange between him and who we're going to refer to as coworker number 1, because there are 2. Coworker number 1, he's texting her and he's like, I wish you were here. This would be so much more fun if you were here. I bet you just want to see me. Flirty stuff that you don't send to another woman when you're in a relationship. I confront him. He immediately starts crying and he's like, I had no idea it was inappropriate to talk to another woman that way. And I believed him. I was like, oh, this man must be dumb. And this was a joke we used to have, that he didn't have social cues. Hey, so that was not true. He's actually brilliant, but he uses his brilliance to manipulate women. He, after this whole thing happens, he goes, I will never put you in that position again. He would go on to put me in that position again 3 months later in June 2023, but we are going to come back to that. So the next year of our relationship, I'm really checked out. The relationship was fizzling out. I just wasn't happy anymore. And finally, I decided to address it. This was like April 2024. I say to him, like, I'm just not happy anymore. It feels like we're just friends. Like, maybe we should just cut our losses. And he's like, no, you're the love of my life. Like, I want to marry you. Like, I'm going to put more effort in. I'm going to make this work. So I'm like, okay. May happens. May is when he meets, unbeknownst to me, coworker number 2. At the end of May, we go on a trip with all of my friends. Okay, when I say my friends, I mean my college friends and my high school friends from Oregon flew in to come on this trip. Okay, so this trip's really important to me. On Saturday morning, he admits to coworker number 2 that he has feelings for her, and then proceeds to get in a car with my best friends and drive to this trip. Gets belligerently drunk, and he's not a drinker, so we were all kind of like, dude, what is going on? And he does things that he shouldn't have been doing, you know, if he was admitting his feelings for someone else. Driving home from this trip, again, 2 days before, admitted his feelings for another girl, gets in the car with me, we're driving home. He's talking about when we want to get engaged. Psycho. June of 2024, I go home for like 10 days. I don't hear from him basically at all. I'm like, hey, what the hell's going on? He calls me, he breaks up with me. I don't fight him on it because, again, I'm already checked out. I'm like, whatever. And I also want to preface by saying I am the most understanding person ever when it comes to having feelings for someone else when you're in a relationship. You cannot help how you feel. And if you start to develop feelings for someone else when you're in a relationship, like, you're not a mean and terrible person, but you need to leave your relationship and you need to be honest. It wouldn't have made me feel good to hear like, oh, I met someone at work and I am super entranced by her and I want to date her. That doesn't feel good, but that's not mean. That would have been the right thing to do, is break up with your girlfriend. And he kept insisting that he didn't break up with me because of this, and I was like, dude, you should have. But you know what? He's right. He didn't do it because of that, because he did this with other women and didn't break up with me then. So the same week that we break up, I reconnect with one of my high school best friends from Oregon, who I found out was living in LA, and I had no idea. She has a roommate that she met randomly on Facebook. Guess who that roommate is? Coworker number 2. So crazy. So I'm confiding in her about my breakup that happened mere days ago. I show her a picture of my ex. She's like, holy shit. She's putting pieces together, okay? She's putting pieces together that this man, my ex, is the same man that her roommate, her random roommate, has been seeing since May. So I confront him. He denies all of it at first. Then I get a text the same night at like 2 a.m. It's a 5-paragraph essay, thesis statement bullshit where he admits to everything. He admits to cheating on me with coworker number 2. He also admits to coworker number 1. He's like, I did this to you in Cabo. I did again here. I thought, you know, okay, he admitted everything to me. This must be all there is. No. Sally comes back into the picture. Sally tells one of my good friends, I'm so glad Ellie and Adam broke up because he was doing shit with me in June of 2023 he shouldn't have been doing. So she calls me, she tells me everything. She's like, I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, but in June of 2023, the night we graduated, he turns off his location, goes to see this girl. They go on a walk in the middle of the night for hours. On this walk, he confesses that he still has feelings for her, that he regrets how things ended, that he can't talk to me about anything, and basically just, you know, says that he's unhappy. He tries to get them to go back to one of their apartments. I have no idea this is happening. I'm at home asleep. They go on to text for like a month or so after that. And eventually Sally goes, hey, do you still have a girlfriend? And he goes, yeah, I do. And she goes, okay, so you do need to tell your girlfriend that we've been talking and we are done talking. I saw screenshots of this conversation, by the way. So I then confront him about this. I'm like, bitch, another one? Are we fucking kidding? Tally's getting high at this point. I block him, though, before he can respond because I don't need to listen to his excuses anymore. But he does go on to tell our mutual friends that basically Sally is lying and, you know, misconstruing the truth. I have textual evidence. She's not making it up. I saw it with my own eyes. Anyway, he is still currently dating coworker number 2. That is who I saw on my For You page. It's not her fault. I've been her. I was her. And you know what? If for some reason she stumbles upon this video because I stumble upon hers, girl, you can call me anytime. Anytime you want the receipts, I am happy to be there for you. My favorite part of this whole thing is my brother, when he found out, he was like, damn, we really are like Game of Thrones. We got eyes everywhere.
Story time on how I found out that my ex-boyfriend was cheating on me. This was back in May of 2018. So me and my ex-boyfriend got together at that time, May 2018, and we were together for 3 months. So August 2018, we went on our first vacation. Okay, so before we left on this vacation, he had received a call from somebody, from his friend. His name was Jose. I was like, who's this? They're like, oh, he's my friend. Mind you, this person only had a handful of friends. So I was like, no, I don't think that's your friend. Like, who is it? Like, no, it's my friend. And we had only been dating for 3 months. And I don't even think I said, I don't think that's your friend. I just said, oh, okay. I left it alone. Never thought about it again. I swear I never thought about it again. We went on our vacation. We came back. And I had a dream that he had cheated on me with his ex. I didn't say. Hold on. I didn't say nothing, so I just let it go. Then the next day, I had another one. And I was like, okay, like, you know what? I might just tell him. And I told him, and he goes, girl, you're crazy, this and that, la, la, la. So at this point, I'm thinking I'm crazy. I'm not, all right, I'm crazy, whatever. So I have one more, and I'm like, bro, I'm not crazy. So I wake up, I look at my phone, and his ex-girlfriend had requested to follow me on Instagram. Oh, wait, I missed a part. We were at his house one day, and we were at his house, and his mom was, her room was across the room, and he was like, Mom, we were talking about it. I think I was talking about it, and he goes, tell my mom the kind of dream that you had. And I tell her, and she goes, Mija, I don't know, like, I think you should think about this, in front of him. It means something. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's cheating on you, but you should think about, like, what you just dreamed about. And now he's upset at his mom because she said that. But she's a girl's girl, so she's gonna tell me the truth. So whenever the next day, maybe like a week later, the ex-girlfriend, I wake up, I had that dream. I wake up and the girlfriend had requested to follow me on Instagram, the ex-girlfriend. And I was like, fuck no, like, I'm not gonna accept that bitch. So then I deny it. And then she requests me on Twitter. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not adding you on Twitter. So I decline it again. Then she adds me on Snapchat. And I'm like, bruh, like, what does this girl want? She clearly doesn't want to be my friend. We're not friends. So, like, what? So I end up telling her, like, girl, what do you want? And she goes, your man is not who he says he is. I was like, okay. Well, clearly, like, you're not telling me because you're my friend and you want to help me out. You're telling me because you did something. So I was like, so what? What is it? What did y'all do? She goes, well, we slept together before y'all left to South Padre Island. So you're telling me, bitch, you knew where the fuck we were going to? I was so mad. I was so mad. And not even at that. I was at the mall when I got that message. So I was at the mall with my little sister, and I had to, like, run out of the mall because I was in tears. I was so fucking mad. I was like, damn, like, he basically just laughed in my face. I explained to him multiple times that I had this dream, and basically it was like I was crazy, but I wasn't. So I go to my car, I call him, I'm like, hey, like, I'm gonna be on my way to your house, can you meet me outside? And he goes, yeah, why? And I'm like, I'm just gonna go, I need to talk to you about something. I hang up the phone, he calls me back, and he's like, are you okay? And I said no, and I hung up the phone. I get there, I don't say nothing. I just grab the phone and I hand it to him, and he was, you could just imagine how that man was, that she's crazy. And mind you, I always told him that this girl's the devil, and I don't give a damn. And if she were to see it, she's a damn devil, because I have more stories. Because I started dating this boy years ago first, then they got together, whatever, then I got my own boyfriend, and then my ex-boyfriend ended up breaking up with her, and then she found out the guy that I was dating, and then she went to go date him and then got pregnant by him. So honestly, that's for another story. But moral of the story, the reason why I'm telling the story is that if you're having dreams about something and it's over and over and over and you have no reason to dream them, it's because of something. It's because of something. So your intuition is always right. That was my intuition. So that's it. I'm gonna enjoy my golden chick and let me know if y'all like this story time. And it was real.